This is a 2015 13-inch MacBook Pro, and I'm going to tell you why it's the best MacBook on the market. Anyway, let's start off with the exterior and I/O. I know many people complain about the new MacBooks not having much I/O, but that isn't really a problem here at all. We have the MagSafe port, which many people like, two Thunderbolt 2 ports, USB 3, and a headphone jack. Clearly the person who owned this used Bluetooth earphones because that is nasty. Also, we've got the two mics on the exterior here. If we switch it around to the other side, we can see we've got another USB 3.0 port, we've got an HDMI port, and then we've got an SD card slot, which is really useful because SD cards are a good cheap way of getting storage. Just make sure it works because it's actually quite a nice thing to have. Anyway, so let's get on to, say, interacting with the machine. So, with this machine, the input methods are the keyboard and the trackpad, and these actually really make a machine, you know? They're the things you interact with the most. So, the trackpad to get started off with. This is a Force Touch sensor, which was new for 2015. That's why I'd recommend this machine, this era of machine over the earlier retinas, because the old trackpads were much worse, and this one has some nice features like you can press hard to enable dictionary to look up certain words. It also doesn't really move, and the haptic feedback is actually much nicer than using it, and it falls and it goes through the machine. Just be wary, if the machine's shut down when you first open it and the trackpad isn't doing anything, don't think it's broken. It's just haptic feedback. It doesn't actually move. And let's move on to the keyboard. The keyboard on this machine, although it's quite a nice chiclet keyboard, the keys are a bit smaller than the current butterfly ones. So if you're used to the butterfly machines, then you may have a couple typos. But in general, it's quite nice. As you can hear by it, it isn't actually that obnoxious when you're typing, unlike some of the earlier butterfly keyboards. It's also very reliable. But just make sure if someone, say, tried to clean out the keyboard, like I believe someone's tried to on this shift key, like if we look at it here and we press down here, it sort of lifts up, which if you think is just the thing of the shift key, it doesn't do the same thing here. So when you're in photos, just look out for that. The keyboard is great, and since it doesn't have the touch bar, you've got nice media controls that are easy to reach. Volume's easy, brightness for the backlit keyboard, and the display brightness. Although this machine has got a backlit keyboard, sorry, it's midday and it's very bright out, so you can't really see it. But at night, it's good backlight, unlike some other machines. It does take a toll on your battery life if you use it, by the way. It's also got the inverted T arrow keys, which many people are happier back now. So compared to some other MacBook Pros, this is a benefit. Also, let's move on to the display. This was one of the first, here, let me just turn off night shift so you can actually have a proper look at the display. This was one of the first retina IPS displays on a Mac. It's really good. It's got some very good color accuracy. Thought to get quite a colorful photo so you could sort of see what it's like. It's a 1080p display, which is really nice. It's great for watching movies and TV due to the aspect ratio. If you want to watch media content, it's great. Also, the speakers are quite good. One annoyance of them, though, is that they are down here on the bottom, as you can see here, which means that, say, if you've got it on your lap, it's not going to be as loud as some of the new machines. Okay, let's move on to things to look out for. So firstly, and most importantly, if we look at the display, check sort of the top and the sides, and sort of maybe ask the seller to dim the brightness, and show if there's any sort of, if you see any sort of green or sort of flakes that may look like some kind of nasty greasy mess. That's something called stain gate, which is the removal of the anti-reflective peel. Make sure not to buy those or negotiate with the seller for a lower price, because it means that your screen will be very reflective. But if you have got a newer machine, if it's a newer machine, then it should be replaced by Apple for free. Anyway, other things to look out for. Check in the corners, like if we see on this one here, it's sort of lighter there, and if I apply pressure, it sort of goes back. I think the screen may be lifting because it's a plastic display. So just sort of check out for corners, see if it's broken or not working. Other things to look out for. Check the hinge, make sure it's not broken and is still sort of connected up to the rubber there, because sometimes they break, which can fray the video cable and cause massive damage to the machine. Also, check that the internals of the hinge are okay. Make sure to see if you can see the alignment of the display on the thing. This one's a bit over, which maybe makes me think that the display might be starting to go. Since these are all aluminium and aluminium is quite soft and quite susceptible to damage, check out for many common spots. So check down on the corners by the lifting thing. I don't know why this does. Maybe grip from people's fingers. It gets shut and then it causes some damage here. Check corners, make sure they're not dented in too badly, because otherwise the lid won't close. Check, this one's a bit damaged, but it's nothing too serious. Also, a tip that I like to use is when you're looking at pictures, make sure to have a look at the MagSafe port on this one. If it's sort of damaged and scuffed up, that means it's had many cycles, it's been used a lot, and it's just a clear indication of it. Although scratches and, in this case, small dents may not seem like a lot, it basically just tells you how much the owner cared about it, whether they sort of tossed it in their bag or whether they actually like the machine. Also, check the bottom of these, because they're very susceptible to scratching. And also make sure all the screws are in. Like this one's out on this one. Actually checking it, the majority of the screws are out. I didn't actually want to spend too much money. This is on the lower end of the price scale. But if the screws are missing, that means it's probably been opened and tampered with, which means you may not have a warranty and it may be a bit worse. Anyway, hopefully I've convinced you and told you some good things about this machine. Tell me if there's any other problems that I should know about in the link in the description, in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. The iPhone giveaway should be coming out soon. Stay tuned for that. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm out.